What's up, y'all? Respect the Chat podcast going virtual, and we're going to try to bring you audio as well. But this is the new setup for a while here. Your boy Mike is here. My boy Ryan is in Pittsburgh.
Yo.
And we said, let's bring the fans a podcast. Let's get it going. You can find us out on YouTube. Watch us on there. Or hopefully we're going to get the audio version connected, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll get it done
Okay.
this time for sure. It'll be anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Cool. So we'll get you guys going there. I know everybody's requesting for us to be back. The RDC crew is in high demand. So we got to bring the fans what they want. Ton of NFL football going on. Some great NBA basketball happening. We'll talk about both those things, especially with the playoffs happening. And then we're going to throw a little UFC in there. I also got some questions I want to ask Ryan about basketball because that is a nice area of expertise that we have when Ryan's on with us, even better. But let's at least start with football here. I know we're watching football today. I know your team is playing tomorrow, and we'll get to that. And that's going to be a sensitive game right there. I'll tell you what, for all of those Pittsburgh fans out there. But today, the first game, Buffalo versus Indianapolis. What did you think?
It was first of all, I just want to start. It was a really good match. The Colts came out right away. I thought that they were going to win, to be honest. They looked really good. Buffalo still looks good, but their starting field position was really bad for the whole first half. I think they said that the 15-yard line, their own 15-yard line, was the closest they started, was the best field position they had for a drive. So I thought the Colts were really going to, make a statement here. And once they failed in the red zone, instead of kicking the field goal, they tried to go for it there. I think the score was 10-7 at that point, something like that. No, 10-7 Colts. And they don't get it, but they're thinking our defense can stop the Bills. They have bad field position again. Bills march up, get a late touchdown in the first half, and that's where we saw like a big momentum shift, right? Bills came out second half hot, ready to go, and Colts were playing a little bit of catch-up for the rest of the game. And you get to the end there, and it was just they put themselves in too big of a hole. They got a big stop, big sack on Josh Allen, where he has the fumble, drops them back 23 yards, and they end up getting the ball back and scoring. But like I said, just dug themselves too big of a hole in the second half. But overall, it was a really good game, and I'm happy for Bills fans.
Wow, great game. Very happy for Bills fans. Very entertaining. Very nice game to get at 1 o'clock on a Saturday.
Oh yeah.
And the first day of football, playoff football. That I love. My dad is a big Buffalo fan. My cousin Rudy is a big Buffalo fan. Very happy for them. Buffalo getting a win in the first, in the playoffs in a really long time. Absolutely awesome. I love Josh Allen, 26 for 35, 324 yards and 2 touchdowns. What a great game. Diggs came correct. Man, I'll tell you what, making a trade for this guy, how that leveled up that team. I mean, Josh Allen working on his form in the offseason and really connecting with these wide receivers as the year went on. Still no run game over there in Buffalo. So really it's on Allen's back because not a great defense either. Right. Everything is on Allen, and he handles it. He has shown so much his maturity as a quarterback, as a leader. Unbelievable. But Diggs, they make this trade for him. 6 receptions, 128, and a touchdown. Wow. Man, a big catch on that drive. I think it was maybe like either his first drive or the second drive when they got the ball. Might have been the second one. Big catch over the middle. Continued to make this drive go downfield. A great catch by Davis on the sideline in the game that continued to drive as well. Davis actually had 2 really great catches on the sideline. Unbelievable game to come through for Buffalo, to show up. The Colts played that meticulous, down the field, long drives. And if they get you into that rhythm, that's not where you want to be. It's kind of like being in there with a fighter who's making you fight his fight. It's not going to go your way. Yeah. And they're going to strangle you, slowly throughout the game. And I think the Bills fell into that a little bit in the beginning, and then the Bills went to play Bills football. But could you imagine if the Bills had a run game, how deadly they would be? And just the defense played good, I think, for the, good speaking. I don't know how else to say it, as the best that they could, I guess, at
Yeah.
this point. Tre'Davious White played pretty well. There was a couple key hits in there. A fumble, I thought was a fumble on Pascal, I believe who that it was, and then they overruled it. I think the game could have been over even quicker than it
Right.
was there towards the end. But Buffalo had slightly better defense, which I think they played well. But if they could play just even a little bit better, a little
Mhm.
bit step up, and force a couple 3-and-outs, get a little bit of a run game, I think Buffalo could win the Super Bowl. I really do. I
Wow.
wanted to make this bet with my dad, and I want to say it on the podcast.
Okay.
That's who I'm picking. I'm picking Buffalo to win it.
All
I'm going to
right.
go out, put my neck out there, and see what happens. But great win for Buffalo. Wow. Jared Allen, unbelievable. What do you think Philip Rivers does? He goes to the Colts, old coach and Frank Reich that coached him at, a point in his career. Goes to him, plays really well. The Colts do great this year, 11-5, go to the playoffs and play well in this game against, I think, a really good team
Right.
in Buffalo. Regardless of what we say about the defense and the run game, they bring it together. They win, and they've had big convincing wins. And they come in there and hold their own. Philip Rivers, 27 for 46, 309 yards and 2 touchdowns. Where does Rivers go from here? Does he retire, come back, go to a different team?
Uh, that's the question, right? I think that I don't think I'll say this. I'll start with saying I don't think Philip Rivers is done in the NFL. Whether or not he's going to continue in Indianapolis, it's another story. They have a really good team, a really young offense, a really experienced O line. In terms offense, in terms of the skill players, I mean, really young. You have Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor, Michael Pittman. You have a veteran tight end in Doyle, but you also have
Yes.
Mo Alley Cox there. You have
Pascal.
Pascal. You have Naheem Hines. You got a ton of guys, a ton of weapons right there on that offense. And
Yes.
going
Yes.
back to that Bills game, I think that they really showed off the weapons that they had, getting their playmakers into space. They had Jonathan Taylor running really well, Naheem Hines running really well. They would get Michael Pittman the ball in space and have him run after the catch. They were doing that well. And Rivers was just picking them apart with his tight ends. Doyle had an insane game. All the tight ends played well, but I think that he showed towards the middle to end of this regular season that he can still play in the NFL. What he wants to do moving forward, obviously, is up to him. But I think in terms of skill level, I think we were starting to doubt Philip Rivers towards the end of his career with the Chargers. He was very turnover prone, made bad decisions, but he got back to winning football this season. He had a great team around him, and I think that there's teams out there that could use him. Whether it's a role where he's mentoring a younger quarterback, um, or going out there and trying to win football games, trying to get a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in the playoffs, that's had another one of these droughts. But I do think that there's a space for him. I don't think he's completely done. I don't think this loss right here is the biggest deal in the world. I think just getting into the playoffs was big for him, just to see that he has a little bit left and making it a competitive game. So, I mean, you could be happier with the performance, obviously, but I
Yeah.
think in terms of just proving to himself and to other people that he can still play in the NFL, I think he did that. I think he achieved that this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think even with no off season and program where they could really connect as an offense,
Mm-hmm.
him coming over from San Diego to Indianapolis and still pulling off that record that he pulled off, the playoff berth, and the game that he put up today, I think it says a lot about Philip Rivers, because I think a lot of people, I agree with you, were doubting him and saying maybe he should have retired before the season even started, and that they definitely had him written off, as the year went on and probably into this game. But if anybody tells you after this game that Philip Rivers should retire, they're crazy.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely opportunity for Philip Rivers in the NFL. Like you said, I really like him as a backup role, possibly with a younger quarterback who can mentor him, who, if the quarterback isn't successful, Phil could jump in there and successfully take over and maybe drive a team on a playoff run.
Right.
Like I bet, like Philly with like a guy like him. I know with the Jalen Hurts, thing and drafting him, but just imagine Hurts isn't there and they got a guy like Rivers who could step in when Wentz ain't playing good, or Chicago, or like there's a bunch, San Francisco, Washington. There's a lot of places I think Dallas. There's a lot of places where this guy could have stepped in this year if
Right.
he was in a backup role and been very successful. But I think he could still be a starter too. There's a lot of places that in this league where they still could really benefit from a veteran. Maybe draft a guy and sit him and let Phil kind of do his thing, kind of like the Fitzpatrick Tua mix,
Right.
something along those lines. So I don't want to see you retire yet, Cowboy Phil. I love you, and I want to see you back in some capacity. So I wish him all the luck. But Buffalo Bills, man, they are coming. Bills Mafia, they are coming. My dad never heard of this before. I know my dad kind of 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was, decided, listen, I got to pick a football team. I said, come with me, Dad. You can come with the Cowboys. We'll welcome you in. You be a Cowboys fan. Nah, no, I'm from New York. I want to pick a New York team. I'm like, you trying to say something about me? But he's, no. He's like, no, I don't want to be Giants and Jets. He said, I really always like Buffalo. I'm going to root for Buffalo. It's like 4 or 5 years ago.
Nice.
Before the Buffalo was really even making a run. I think
Before they even had Josh Allen.
Yes, before they even had Josh Allen. He takes the reins and he really doesn't put the work in. He just watches the games, but he doesn't put the work in the background scenes of, what the Bills Mafia is and where these guys have come from. But he's bought in now. Beasley and Diggs, Allen, he knows the whole squad, man. He's ready to go. But I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for the Buffalo Bills franchise to get over that hump and to push on, man. And I got them winning. The second game of the day, Seattle versus the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams. Oof. A disappointment to me. I don't know if it was a disappointment to you. Was it? Of a game. I just expected more out of it.
It was a slow start. It was definitely a slow starting game, a very defensive-minded matchup. It was a little hard to watch in the first half. But from all the games that they had, if you watched during the regular season, there weren't exciting games. For two teams that are pretty exciting to watch usually, the games that they had together just weren't exciting games whatsoever. And I think they had like an average I saw of like not below 40 points, the over-under.
Wow.
The average over-under for their games was below 40 points. I don't remember the exact number, but it just wasn't an exciting matchup to watch all season. So I wasn't really sitting on the edge of my, waiting on the edge of my seat, holding my breath for an exciting matchup. But I think that in the second half, they came to play. Both teams came to play. They realized that we got to get our offense going, or we're going home. The playoffs is over. The season's over. So, I agree with you. It was definitely a little bit of a disappointing matchup in that regard, but my expectations weren't too high for that matchup to begin with. So,
okay, I guess I should have had those same expectations, and the sense of that it wasn't going to blow my mind type game. But I just, like you said, with the amount of talent on the Rams and on Seattle,
right.
You got to say to yourself, man, in the playoffs, these two teams, had a pretty good year, a little up and down, but average overall a good year. And with the Rams being 10-6 and Seattle being 12-4, and the Rams just sneaking in. To me, we're like, oh, this is a game where Seattle really needs to win. This is a team that just snuck in. Arizona could have easily have been here. And the Rams did it with a backup, Walford.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name? Walford?
He started the game and he went out very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, he got smashed,
yeah.
And that was done. So Seattle's got to win this game, man. You got to come into this game and say, first of all, playing against a backup. Okay, we knock him out. Now a guy who just had thumb surgery 2 weeks ago is going to come in. He can't do much, and he didn't do much.
Yeah.
He was 9 for 19, 155 yards and a touchdown. Oof. But what do you expect from a guy with a surgically repaired thumb? Right. So, okay, but Seattle, man, you got to take advantage of that. Here's the problem. Cam Akers, 131 rushing yards.
Oh, yeah.
That defense got ran over, man. That defense is not supposed to have that done to them. Jamal Adams should have got at least 2 or 3 sacks this game, I think, which would have affected this game, which he didn't. He needed to get those and be more of an effect for this team. This guy now finally got his first game about in the playoffs after playing for the Jets for that long, and this is where you gotta show up. I know he was a little banged up, but I'm a Jamal Adams fan. If I'm gonna be out there talking about you, man, you have to actually put in work. Like, come on. I want to see some work being done. So that was a little disappointing for me. And the other thing that was disappointing for me was Russell Wilson, man. I just didn't see the Russell Wilson in the beginning of the year, throughout the year, and I definitely didn't see him in that game.
Mhm.
In the beginning, he was MVP candidate, and
Yeah.
then as the year went on, it slowly dwindled to just a quarterback that's half of what Wilson could be. You know, he
Mhm.
doesn't give the ball up. He stands in that pocket too long. He takes a lot of sacks. They're going. They're trying to take huge shots down the field. I feel
Yeah.
like every single play.
Mhm.
So I don't know, man. It was a disappointment for me in Seattle. They didn't run the ball enough. You know, I was disappointed in that. Would they have run one? Chris Carson 77 yards, Russell Wilson 50 yards,
Mhm.
Carlos Hyde 5. It's like, come on, DK Metcalf 96 yards receiving, Cup 78, Woods 48. It wasn't a big passing game, so it was Cam Akers. You know, it was
Yeah.
Cam Akers, and I agree with you. I think Aaron Donald, though, you know, not only the Rams defense played well, Aaron Donald just wreaks havoc. He wins games for the Rams single
Yes.
handedly.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I wanted to touch on is that's where the disappointment comes in for me is the Seattle Seahawks come in with such an explosive offense usually that they just had a hard time getting it going because I think you're right. I think those two things go hand in hand. Russell Wilson can't get rid of the ball on time this game and as of late. And I think that is directly correlated to him trying to make a hero play every single time downfield. You can't score a touchdown on every pass. And to me, it seems like either they're running a poorly designed run play that gets blown up in the backfield that Chris Carson either has to bounce outside, make something happen, or he's taking a couple drops, escaping the pocket, and looking upfield and making something out of nothing. Um, but you're not going to win playoff games like that, especially against a good defense like the Rams, who bring the heat. Even if they don't have six guys rushing, they can have three guys rushing and still get to you if they are given enough time. And like you said, Aaron Donald is just a freak of nature. He's going to impact the game no matter what you do, no matter what you throw at him. He's going to impact the game in some fashion. So yeah, I think that's where the best looking unit today on the field was definitely the Rams defense, and it showed by far.
Oh yeah, shout out to Aaron Donald, Pitt alum,
Oh yeah, here
as
we
your
go.
boy Ryan is.
H2P.
As you, let's go, man. Let's go. That boy wreaks havoc, man. And the Rams move on. So the Rams now will play. Do you know who they like? I don't even know that
So
breakdown.
so right here for those watching on YouTube, for those
Yes.
listening on podcasts or Spotify, I have it right here pulled up that will explain to you the playoff picture right now. In the NFC, the Rams would play either the Packers or, depending who wins the matchup between Washington
And Tampa.
and Tampa Bay, I believe. So the way it works is, right, the Packers get whoever the lowest seed is.
Yes.
They play the lowest possible seed remaining. So if the Saints win and the Buccaneers win, the Rams will play so if the Saints win, the Rams play the Packers no matter what
Okay.
because they are now the lowest seed remaining.
Okay.
So Rams most likely will have to see the Packers next round, barring any crazy circumstances. And
Barring the
then,
Bears winning. If the
right,
Bears win, then the Packers would play the Bears, and the Rams would play
correct. And the Rams would play
what, the
the
winner
winner
of
of
Tampa, Washington.
Tampa, Washington. Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to break down for them because whatever. We'll get to that. The Rams move on. Buffalo moves on. Right now, I'm watching and you're watching and all of us are watching, but we're recording as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa versus the Washington football team.
Right.
Washington football team has no Alex Smith, no Dwayne Haskins, no Kyle Allen, no anybody. Who's the quarterback? What's his name, that guy?
Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke. Come on, man. Holy smokes. Heineke's 1 for 2 right now with 5 yards. It's in the first quarter, obviously, of the game. Tampa's winning 3-0. Tom Brady, 44 yards right now. Leonard Fournette running well. Godwin got a catch or so, but, like, Tampa's got to win this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only does Tampa got to win this game, but Tampa needs to blow them out. And in my opinion, and really show who Tampa is moving forward. Let everyone know Tom Brady is the GOAT still. Let
Right.
everyone know Antonio Brown is still one of the best receivers in the NFL. Leonard Fournette's got to have a decent game. The defense of Davis and White and the rest of those guys over there who are ridiculous, who've had a top 5 defense all year, play a top 5 defense. And let this team know what's up with basically no quarterback, very little run game. One receiver in McLaurin who's going to beat you. Figure it out, play a dominant game, and get this win. I mean, I want to see a good game, but I also want to see Tampa win. But on the other side, man, Washington, they just keep throwing things at you. Things keep getting thrown at them, and they just keep winning somehow, some way. A Philly debacle that we could discuss, if we wanted to as well. Of did they give them the game? Washington gets in. I mean, at this point, it could have either been Washington, Dallas, or the Giants in this game right now. And obviously, I would have loved Dallas, but it's not. But it would have been, I feel like, more competitive had it been the Giants or the Cowboys, just based on the quarterback situation.
Mm-hmm.
With no quarterback, this guy coming in and having to play Tampa's team, tough. Washington has a really good defense, but you can't keep being put out there every game. What are your expectations for this game?
Well, like you touched on, the Buccaneers should come out and they should make a playoff statement. They should come out here and say, we are going to win playoff games with this team that we just put together. We have the weapons. It took us a little bit in the regular season to figure it out, let everyone gel, but we got it together now, and we obviously have a lower matchup, a lesser matchup in the Washington football team. We're going to come take care of business, and we're ready for whoever we see next. So I think that that's a very important statement in this first game. And I don't think that it spells disaster if that's not what happens, but you start to get a little shaky on what they're going to look like in the next few games against harder competition. Teams who have just as good a defense as Washington, if not better, but that could also score points on the offensive end. That you don't get 3 or 4 chances to go 3 and out, knowing that they're not going to come down and score on you. From what it looks like now, they're going to play the Saints right in the next round if everything goes as expected. The Saints have a good defense and a good offense.
Yeah.
That's going to be a matchup. The last time they played the Saints, if I'm not mistaken, that was week. Oh man, it's going to take me a second to pull that up, but
it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the first or second matchup, but they looked horrible. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
The Saints
I don't even know if they scored.
They
scored Tampa.
They didn't. They got blown out, and if you can't come out and handle the Washington football team, how are you supposed to come in with any sort of confidence against a team that has handled you in the regular season? So, a division rival that's handled you in the regular season. So, that's pretty much what I'm expecting from this game. A statement win from the Buccaneers. Right now, it looks like they're getting off to a little bit of a slow start, settling for a field goal in the first quarter, having to punt. But like I said, you're not going to have these opportunities like you do with the Washington football team that you can punt a couple times, settle for a field goal, and still have the lead. They're not going to get that against teams like the Saints. So
No shot. And just a big pick they just had right there. So that's going to be huge going the other way. See, that's what they need. The defense needs to do that. So they get this pick off here, and they're hopefully going to go on a drive. Once I think they maintain this pass rush that Washington is so good at, I think then they could start to play their game and get Godwin and Evans and these guys Brown down the field, run Fournette, and then just start chipping away at this team. But I think also it's me not wanting to wake up tomorrow morning
Mm-hmm.
and hear every single sports network talk about how Tom Brady, the GOAT, lost to the Washington football team
Yep.
and went over there and it was a failure, and see, Bill
Mm-hmm.
Belichick, he needed him. They needed each other because look at Bill. Bill's already out now. Tom wins. It looks like, okay, who is Tom? Tom don't need anybody. He needs
Right.
himself. He's the man. So I just don't want to hear that whole narrative, the 500 different ways it can go in the sports world if Tom Brady loses this
Oh yeah.
game. I don't want to hear all that. So that's another thing that I think that's fueling me to kind of say, like, all right, Brady, I need you to have this win, but I need you to really step up, kill it, get these guys out of there, and step up to that next level in the Saints. But show the Saints, I mean, the first time was a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
This time we're coming for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ravens Titans tomorrow. Whoa, bro.
Oof.
What a game.
Yeah.
What a game this is.
Right at
I
one
know.
o'clock, right?
Oh, 1 o'clock. And Rich, I know. I was talking with him today. He said he told my sister. He told everybody else. 1 o'clock comes. It's shut down. I'm focused. I'm in the game. I'm going. We're in, and I'm definitely be rooting for the Ravens for my brother-in-law, Rich. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. Your sister, my wife, spent a lot of time in the Maryland, D.C., Baltimore area.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. I think at heart she is a Raven fan. She roots for the Cowboys because I asked her to, but I know deep down she's a Raven fan. What a game is going to be, and a rematch of last year.
Oh yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where a perfect redemption story for Lamar Jackson. No.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. And unfortunately, I don't share your same sentiment with the Ravens. As a Steeler fan, I would love to see Tennessee come in here and bounce them out once again. I think Tennessee is a really good football team. They got a little shaky in towards the end of the season after starting out super hot, 5-0 to start out the season, I believe, 5-1 at least. And they have the run game, they have the play action game that's built off the run game. The part that is very scary for them is their secondary. They can get beat deep very often. They are not quick on the ball in the secondary. Once guys get into a little bit of space, they have trouble. So I think that's my biggest concern for the Titans. But like you said, the Ravens, this would be the perfect redemption story for them after getting bounced out, being the super hot team. No one thought they could be beaten last year except maybe by the Chiefs. Everyone was anticipating that matchup, but they get bounced out by the underdog last year. Now it's a little bit of a different story. Now they're kind of the underdog coming in, at least on paper. They have this redemption story behind them, so I think it's going to be an interesting match. I don't think it's going to be a one-sided match. I think it's going to be very, very competitive. Both teams want to win. Both teams want to prove themselves in this AFC playoff picture. So I'm excited. Tomorrow's going to be good.
Man. This is a huge one. This is where Lamar Jackson could rewrite his story that all the haters out there, want to put the blame on him of last year of them losing that game against Tennessee. I don't think it was all on Lamar Jackson. If you look up his stats from last year, his rushing and his throwing, he did he went nuts, man. This guy played well, very well. It's more of a team game. And what really happened was Derrick Henry ran down the throat of the Baltimore Ravens defense. And Rich said it on the podcast before the game last year. He said that we need to tackle Derrick Henry. We need to put him on the ground. We can't have him running all over us. And that's exactly what he did. I think if the Ravens come out and establish some type of run early on Tennessee's run defense, which I don't think is great. I think their secondary is better than their front four. I think that the Ravens could start to move the ball down the field with the run and then let Lamar open it up a little bit and be creative. Me and you have said before, Lamar needs to play that backyard football, that unpredictable kind of like going on the fly, scrambling around Lamar Jackson football. That's when he throws the defense off. You can't be so scripted, I think, tomorrow. Kind of let him feel the flow of the game. Let him get into his groove. Let him have nice drives down the field, let him run. Let him get his legs moving, you know? Let that aspect be a part to pull up some linebackers, and he could dump a couple over over the middle then to Mark Andrews or so, and be successful that way to open up things for Dez and for Hollywood Brown and Willie Snead and these guys. So I got the Ravens to win. I'm going to pick the Ravens. You're going Titans, right?
I'm going Titans, yep.
But believe me, I love Titans. I love the Titans, man. I love Tannehill. I love A.J. Brown. I love Corey Davis. I love my man, King Henry. Derrick Henry killed it for my fantasy team this year. 2,000-yard rusher in the NFL, Derrick Henry. I love the Titans. It's very hard for me to root for the Titans because if it's not the Bills who I think could win, a Super Bowl, I think the Titans are a team that are very capable of winning a Super Bowl. Again, same, aspect, not a great defense. Run game is good, but Bills game isn't run game is good. But that type of team that I wouldn't be surprised if they won it, Titans either. But definitely have to get through the Ravens first.
Right.
Chicago versus New Orleans. This is a game where I'm like, man, how did the Chicago Bears get in the playoffs?
Right.
And the Saints, what a crazy year they had. And they turned out to be 12-4 and very dangerous as Antonio Brown just scores a touchdown.
Nice.
So, here comes Tampa, man. I'm telling you right now, and I'm telling you, Antonio Brown is here. I don't know what people. It's the playoffs, bro.
Oh, yeah.
It's Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady and Antonio Brown, and they're moving forward. But we'll get to this game because it's on, so we can talk about it too. I don't know how it'll sound when people listen to it, but it'll be cool. I got the Saints in this one. I'm sure you do too. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, so I really want to spend a lot of time on the next game we're going to talk about. But Saints, Bears, I'm going Saints. I like Drew Brees to have a good game. If he gets hurt and can't pull through for some reason, I like what they got in Tannehill. Taysom Hill coming in and backing him up just in case. I don't know, because Chicago's defense is tough. Mm-hmm. They may just blitz a lot and try to put Brees down to try to get him out of the game. I think Kamara plays really well. He should be playing, right?
Should be. Yeah, no. Brees has Thomas and Kamara back tomorrow.
Okay, good. So I got the Saints. What do you think?
Yeah, I got the Saints as well. I don't think the Chicago Bears are a playoff team. NFC is a little bit of a weaker of the two conferences. It's always crazy over there with the wild card. You never know who's going to get in. So I think that the Saints will come out. I think the Bears have a little bit of potential. I don't think that they're just going to come out and look like, the Bears we're used to seeing, because Trubisky the last few games has moved the ball. He's scored. He's put points in the end zone, which is usually very hard for them to do. That's usually our big concern with the Chicago Bears is, okay, they got a nice defense, but they can't put up points, so that doesn't help. But Montgomery's been running really well. Allen Robinson obviously is always doing his thing. It's always a matter of who can find him in terms of whoever's the quarterback. But I think Trubisky has been playing a little bit better than expected since being benched, coming back. He's playing well for Mitchell Trubisky, so that's a positive for him. But yeah. I think the Saints come out here and win this playoff game and move on to the next one.
Okay. No, I agree. Totally agree. Browns, Steelers.
Woo!
I'll let you take it first. Go ahead, and then I'll chime in.
I love this matchup. I don't want to come back here tomorrow night and re-listen to what I'm saying and regret it, but I love this matchup. The Browns, let me tell you, the Browns just have a tough time playing the Steelers at Heinz Field, in the backyard. It doesn't matter where they're at. They have a tough time against the Steelers, and it felt like we were trying to lose the game on Week 17 on Sunday. It almost felt like we were trying. In the first opening drive for the Browns, we couldn't tackle anybody. And I was like, okay, well, we're trying to lose this game. That's almost what it felt like. And then for us to come back and almost win it on accident, it felt like. It just made me feel like, okay, first game, we smacked these guys around like we should have. And granted, they didn't have Nick Chubb in that game. Nick Chubb was present for this game. even though we had a bunch of guys that weren't playing as well. Uh, but I'm excited. I'm really excited. I think that the Steelers need to come out here and play the hard defense that we've been playing all season, shut down Mayfield in the offense. I think that if we slow the run, we don't. There's no stopping that run. Let me be very clear. You're not going to stop that run game. They have a very good run game, very talented running backs. One of the best, if not the best, 1-2 punch in the game. But if we slow that down and we force Baker Mayfield to make plays, he is going to force the issue. And it's something we've seen with Baker Mayfield a lot. He's gotten better. He can make those throws now. But when you force him to do it against his will, that's when he sort of fumbles a little bit, crumbles a little bit under the pressure. But it should be a really interesting matchup. I know Baker Mayfield's your guy. It'll be really, really good to see this matchup tomorrow night. So I'm excited. I'm super excited. I'm hoping Ben looks like Ben. He's been playing well all season. If I had to have one thing that I'm scared about, it's being able to move the ball on first down. With the run game, getting second and short, third and short, instead of 3rd and 9, 2nd and 11, 3rd and 7. It just setting yourself up for success early on in the downs can really change the game. And I know that's not groundbreaking information, but go ahead.
But it's realistic. Yeah, it's realistic. That's what needs to happen. And I totally agree with you. The run game has to be that thing that establishes those early first downs so that you're not getting to 3rd down and long and you're forcing, the issue down the field for whatever reason. Because I think the secondary of Cleveland is better than what people give them credit for. Denzel Ward, I think, had a great year this year. And I'm not sure anybody else really on that defense can really say they had a great year. The line, the Sheldon Richardson and those guys up front played well in being 11-5, played well enough, to give Baker the opportunities to win some games. And I love Baker, bro. I really do. That's my guy. And all the hate amongst the homies chat that we have with Pat and Rich and Frankie and these guys hating on him. My man always goes out there and he slings it. So this is a tough game for me because I'm not going to go against the family ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You and Pat are family, and that's just not going to happen. So I got to go, the black and yellow all day. That's all day. And I think what really needs to happen is you need to protect Ben in that pocket. Let Ben have a little bit of time to make some big throws to Claypool down the field, Deontay Johnson down the field. Let him get some of those off. Shock the Browns a little bit so that they have to force to push the ball, like you said. They get uncomfortable because that's where Baker makes those mistakes, and that's where they start to force things. I think getting them down also hurts if they don't have their coach, which I don't think they do right now. Stefanski and a couple of the assistants are not going to be coaching tomorrow, and that is going to hurt a team who's down one and who can't get into a groove and has to force things. Right. So I think the best thing to do for Pittsburgh is jump out to a lead, take a couple shots down the field early, let them know that we're here to blow you out. That's what we're looking to do. We want to send you off the field ASAP quick. That's it, and we want to move on. So I really like Pittsburgh in this game to win. I love Baker, but not going against the fam. Gotta run the ball. Man, gotta run the ball, Pittsburgh. And, a lot of injuries on the defense that I think you don't want to have at this time of the year for Pittsburgh. So making a push after this game, I think, is where they need to maybe get some guys back if they could. If they even will at that point. I don't know what that looks like, but I think establishing a really solid game set you up for the next round regardless of what your defense looks like, because your defense could be like, all right, let's show up, let's play who we are, let's be our identity. Fitzpatrick Minka needs to play a big huge game back there, and TJ Watt as well really need to step up for this defense as they have all year. So I don't think that they I have no doubt that they will continue to do that
Mhm.
and establish yourself on offense, and win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to also not drop the football like we've been doing
That would be good.
all season, and I think we'll be in a really good position, like you said, with the coaching, with the lack of coaches for tomorrow's matchup. I think that if we come out and, for lack of a better term, give them the punch in the throat, punch in the face, right off the rip, I think that we'll put ourselves in a good position to finish the game out, close them out, and jump ahead and never look back. So I'm really excited for the matchup. I'm hyped to be in Pittsburgh with surrounded
Oh
by
yeah.
Steeler fans. Ready for a playoff, hopefully playoff run. And I'm excited. I'm really hyped for these playoffs. So,
Oh, that's a night game too. Oh my gosh,
whoo!
the homies chat is gonna be the hottest it's ever been
Oh yeah,
in the world. In
oh
the
yeah.
world, there's not gonna be enough gifs and memes and hate and
Mm-hmm.
love and all these things happening. Because if the Ravens win, and then it's Pittsburgh's game, Rich is gonna be fired up, so he's gonna be talking and
Yep.
he's gonna be getting things going. You guys are gonna be getting things going. Frankie always jumps on board with Pittsburgh as well. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. So I can't wait for that game.
Absolutely.
Um, let's jump to a little NBA.
Okay.
It's early in the season, but the Pacers lead the East. Then it's the Sixers. Then it's the Celtics. Um, which really those three teams are pretty much neck and neck. The Pacers are 6-2. Philly 7-3. Boston 7-3. Orlando 6-3, so they're right there at the top. Like I said, still very early. Milwaukee a little disappointing for me at 5-4, and even when I watch them, the Knicks, bro, the Knicks are 5-4. The Knicks are better than Milwaukee right now. Like
Yep.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And though I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, I switched over.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I said I'm done. Once we didn't make any move for Durant. I was hopeful again and thinking about coming back once they signed Thibodeau to Knicks, but then I was like, you know what? I'm a Brooklyn guy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, at heart, born and raised there, and I got to go with the home team. Forget about the Knicks, but I'm happy for the Knicks at 5-4. Brooklyn is at 8th and 5-5, but Brooklyn's going to get going. And we can talk about this in a couple minutes of these back-to-back games.
Right.
Brooklyn stars aren't playing as much as really they would be. But good for the Knicks at 5-4. But let's stick with Milwaukee for a second. A little disappointing, right? Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's really tough to see the struggles that Giannis has had early on. He's been feasting on the lesser teams. That's to be expected, but he's really having a tough time um, exerting his force like he has in the past. He gets in the lane, he does his classic spin move, and there's someone waiting for him on a taking a charge. There's someone waiting for him to block his shot, and I really think that it's going to come down to, can he be diverse? Can he mix it up somehow to get the rest of the players involved without turning the ball over? He has the ability to take over games and completely impose his will on the other team, and we just haven't seen it yet. Granted, it's early on, like we've been saying. It's a very long season, but I just need to see that from him this season, because he's received a lot of hate for a back-to-back MVP. He's received a lot of doubt that, okay, he's a regular season guy, his style of play doesn't carry over, isn't winning basketball. Someone's in terms of a series, like what the playoffs are in the NBA, someone's going to figure you out by game 2 or game 3 and shut you down. It's hard to win 4 games in a series when you got the same 2 moves, a Euro step dunk and a spin move dunk. And it's tough. It's tough to carry your team past a certain point with only a very limited set. But I do like the guys he has around him now. I like the Bucks picking up Drew Holiday. That's huge for them, I think. He's a great on-ball defender. He can space the floor. He can create. He does a little bit of everything. He's a really great player. It's good to see him on a good team. And Chris Middleton does his thing. He could shoot. He could defend. He could rebound. I think it just comes down to Giannis. I think it comes down to what type of player is he willing to be for the rest of the season. Is he willing to even take a back seat when he needs to Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday, and crash boards and get blocks and play defense and be that sort of guy that just wants to win. I think it'll come down to that for the Bucks this season. But very surprising early season rankings. You've got the Magic in there. You got the Knicks in there, teams that we don't normally see. And then you got the Heat down a little bit towards the middle to the bottom, who were just in the finals. Granted, it's early on, like we keep saying, but it's going to be interesting to look at going forward.
Oh yeah, definitely. As the Washington football team scores.
Nice.
So I'll keep you up to date on that score as well, because like I said, we'll watch 9-7 pending a extra point made by Washington. So this game is competitive. Hopefully y'all watched it when you hear us tomorrow. Are you putting this out tomorrow?
It'll be up tomorrow morning, yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is what I want to try to do. I want to each episode when we do this until we go pretty much full basketball, once football season is over, and I mean a lot of basketball, and then sprinkle in the rest of our stuff, is I want to just ask you about these couple teams, see what you think, add a little bit of my own knowledge, and then we'll be able to, and then we'll, we can close out the podcast. But I want to just go over a couple teams here. So we went over Milwaukee. I wanted to stick right there with Miami, and I that was interesting. At 3-4, Jimmy Butler gets hurt early. I don't think Bam is playing Bam-type basketball this early in the season. He's not that all-star that he was last year, at least so far early this year. I know it's early, but I think he needs to take that step up when Butler is not there, or to supplement, Butler when he's on the bench, and or even the starting lineup when Butler's with him. Bam needs to score more points and be more aggressive. Tyler Hero needs to make that step up. These are two guys who I know can be multiple year all-stars and really need to continue to step it up, and in order for their team to be better. I think Miami is obviously going to be better. It's early, but does Miami need somebody else? Do they need to make a trade? Who do they need to make a trade for? Or are they okay with this team, and can they win the chip? Could they go back, make a run and then go back and win playoff games with this same team? I mean, they added Avery Bradley, right?
Right.
Great defender. So do they need more than that?
I think that in terms of the Heat so far, obviously I agree with the play of Bam Adebayo has been not what we're expecting so far, and I know we keep saying it's early, but if we want to take a look at their schedule so far, they've played a really tough schedule. They've played the Magic, who are on a surprising run. They've beat the Pelicans. They played the Bucks twice. They played the Mavericks. They played the Mavericks once. They played the Thunder. They played the Celtics, and now they're playing the Wizards. That I believe they are ahead in that game. I could be wrong. Yes, they're gonna. Looks like they're gonna win that game. They're up 11 the fourth. But until now, they've played teams that are right in the top or middle in the playoff picture so far, and teams with really solid, well-rounded teams. And I think that if they're going to want to continue to be a threat, even in the Eastern Conference, they're going to need to buckle down and see that this is not the bubble anymore. I think that the Lakers and the Heat, as we know, had the shortest offseason in the history of major sports, right? In the United States, obviously the recent history. The Lakers, on the other hand, made all sorts of acquisitions that really helped strengthen their team where it was weak. It really gave help to LeBron. He doesn't have to handle the ball every time up the floor. It really gave help to AD, where he can play the style he wants to play without having to get in and do all the dirty work. And just have other scorers on the team that are reliable. Back to the Miami Heat, I think that they had all the same circumstances as the Lakers, but they didn't go out there and they didn't make those same level of acquisitions as the Lakers would. And like you said, Avery Bradley's a good acquisition, but he's not going to change the whole dynamic of your team. He's going to supplement what you have already. And if your superstars like Adebayo is supposed to be, like Jimmy Butler, and your supplementary scorers and role players aren't playing to the level they should be, one or two guys that you just picked up are not going to make that difference. I think your core guys need to really be playing a lot better than they have been. So in terms of the Miami Heat, I think that's their problem. Is yeah, sure, you could always pick up someone that'll help, but I think right now it's just the guys who are there need to start playing better. They need to start playing at the level they know they can play at, and we all know that they can play at because we just saw them very recently. So,
oh yeah, totally agree to as Antonio Brown gets an end around and runs for 22 yards. Great run. This guy's going off, bro.
Let's go.
Antonio Brown is playoff Tony. He's coming out. The Philadelphia 76ers is the third team in the East I want to stay with. Right. And then I'll ask you about three teams in the West. Okay. Philadelphia 76ers, new coach Doc Rivers, kept Ben Simmons, kept Joel Embiid, added Seth Curry. Mm-hmm. Did anybody else join that force over there? Dwight Howard, right?
Right. They have Tobias Harris as well.
Tobias Harris, yes.
They have
Any other new acquisitions besides
another member who was just on the Lakers?
Danny Green.
Danny Green. There we go. I was about to say his name was escaping me, but
okay. Danny Green is there as well. Okay.
And then they have some role players, but go ahead with your question.
So now I say to myself, okay, basically the same. Got the core guys in Simmons and Embiid. Added Danny Green, another shooter. Added another shooter in Seth Curry. Mm-hmm. So maybe they thought shooting and spacing was their issue. I don't know. This is what this tells me. They, new coach. Okay, maybe they thought that, what was his name? Brown, the old coach from last year. Do you remember his name?
For the Sixers?
For the Sixers, yes.
Bruce Brown?
Brent Brown.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares?
I think Bruce Brown's the player. He played for them. Or he played for Detroit.
Whatever his name is. Whatever the coach of the Sixers is out and Doc Rivers is in. Maybe the coach was the issue. Whatever it may be. Get at me. Group Home. I know Group Home has been asking about the episodes. He's in bed. Come on, man. You can't even get Brent Brown.
Brent Brown, yeah.
Brent Brown. I came up with that. I wasn't even looking down. Brent Brown. That's his name. Brent Brown out. Maybe it was the coach's thing. Maybe we needed spacing. Let's get Seth Curry. Let's get Danny Green. I don't know. Maybe the thought is have, Ben Simmons felicitate still and give it to these guys and then Embiid, do Embiid things. But I still think them together are not what this team needs to be successful. Right. And I think me and you have talked about this before, and you can elaborate on it. We both feel that Ben Simmons should not be playing the traditional point guard spot, right?
Yeah. I just think that, first of all, I think the Sixers stink.
Let's go.
They right now they're at the top of the East, and they've been playing good basketball. I'll give them that. They haven't played a great schedule yet, but they are playing good basketball. And like we were saying, you said I'll elaborate on, I think Ben Simmons needs to give up his feeling that he's a point guard. He's a great passer. He's a great facilitator. But so is LeBron James. So is Nikola Jokic. They don't play the point guard position. There's something in his head that he has to play the point guard. It doesn't make sense to me. If he played more of a style like Jokic even. I know Jokic is a completely different player, but a little bit, if he developed his mid-range to back-to-basket game, caught the ball around the elbow, that area, I think he would be a very dangerous player because he can pass out of that. He could turn face up, get to the basket. He can catch lobs. And if they got a more traditional scoring point guard, shooting point guard, something like that, I think that they could be a really good team. I think that they have the weapons to do it, but I agree. The way they're at right now, and that duo of Embiid and Simmons is not going to win any anything more than a first round playoff game. And the style they're playing at, unless they make some drastic changes, is not sustainable for today's NBA, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I agree totally, and I agree with the schedule, man. They're a soft schedule right now. Washington, New York, Cleveland, Toronto. That's a hard team. Orlando, okay, we'll give them that one. Right, right. Charlotte, Washington, Brooklyn, okay, and Denver, okay. But you're playing the Washingtons, the New Yorks, the Clevelands, the Toronto, who's not been playing great. You know, like Toronto. I mean, it's still early. But Charlotte, like this is like, man, come on, Philly. You should be really like way better at this point. But so should Miami. Okay, so that's what the Sixer fans are gonna say. You say the same thing about Miami, Mike. So yeah, okay, let's trash the schedule right now, and let's just go back on what Ryan is saying. We want Ben Simmons out of the traditional point guard spot, and what we mean by that is like what Ryan is saying. Yes, you can even call him a point guard if you want. I don't care what you do. You don't have to put him in a small forward spot if you don't want to, but just don't play him as the guy bringing up the ball, a majority of the game, or that the ball needs to be in his hands coming up the floor, in the traditional sense, and setting up a half-court offense or whatever. And let him play off the ball,
right,
where he can, like you said, catch it in the block,
right,
a jump hook, pass it from the block to those outside shooters. And then every now and then on a fast break, bring it up or switch it up like Jokic does and start facilitating that way. But make it surprising. Make it in the moment. Make it flashy. Don't make it, like what he's going to do when he brings it up. He's going to dribble, drive, and kick it or shoot a layup. That's what he's going to do.
And that's just to elaborate on that for people who may be listening that aren't big basketball followers or more casual fans. They might be saying, what's the difference? Why are we making such a big deal about this? And I think you really emphasized it with, there's no surprise when he brings the ball up what he's going to do with the ball. If you have someone, like I'm using a very tough example here with Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, guys like that, Jamal Murray. When they bring the ball up, you're not exactly sure what they could do with it. They can hit you from 3-4 feet behind the three-point line if they wanted to. They can take you on the dribble. They can run the pick and roll. They can take a step back. They can do a lot of things with the ball. Not saying Ben Simmons has to be that sort of guy in order to run the point guard, because there's tons of point guards who don't do what those exceptional examples do. But if you're a team like Philly and your best player is your center, right? Joel Embiid, I'd say, is their best player. There's nothing surprising about what they're going to do when he brings the ball up. He's going to pass, he's going to cut away. He's going to get a pick and roll. He's going to pass, and he's not going to surprise you with what he's doing. He's going to either try to take you to the hoop, score in that fashion. And I know it's easier said than done to stop it, but same thing we were saying with Giannis. Once you get a series against a couple of guys, you start figuring them out. You start scheming them up. They have great minds as coaches in the NBA. They have analytics. They have film. You're not going to beat a team that you can't catch off guard, that has a perfect game plan for you, and they know you can't do anything else. You're not going to beat another team in the NBA that knows exactly what you're going to do on any given point. So,
no, definitely not. So step it up. Sixers, get a trade. I don't know. We could talk about that in later episodes about what we think. How are we on time?
We're sitting at an hour right now. About to approach an hour.
Okay, let me try to keep it right there in an hour. We won't force any UFC because we have the main card podcast for that, which I want to do an episode with that with you very soon, if not like tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let me just talk about one Western Conference team that I wanted your opinion on, and then we can wrap up the episode.
Okay.
And the reason why I want to look at this team is because I think this team is good. I just don't know what's happening right now.
Okay.
The Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
I think they're way better than 5-4. But 5-4 is pretty good with the team that they have. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you think is wrong, and tell me who could they possibly trade to help this situation out.
Oh, well, they're a very interesting situation, obviously, with the injuries. And I'm trying to pull up their. Sorry for all of you listening. I'm trying to pull up the Golden State Warriors right now on the screen so that we could just take a look
Nice.
at their schedule. And for
And
those of
that'll
you
pop
watching
up
on
too.
YouTube,
Check. How about y'all? Shout out to the Milford,
there we go.
Pennsylvania hat. Let's go. Let's go. Got this from Christmas from my wife.
There we go. All right, but yeah, the Golden State Warriors. It's crazy how we see the impact of Klay Thompson uh, every single game, right?
Hmm.
When Steph draws so much attention, he has a guy that he could just swing the ball to, and you got to respect that guy's jump shot because he's probably the second greatest shooter of all time by the end of his career if he gets healthy, right? We're saying Steph has got to be one, and if Klay Thompson kept on the pace he was at, he would pass guys like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. He would pass guys like that. Right now, dealing with the severe injuries he's been dealing with, it's going to be really tough for the Golden State Warriors. So, if you're going to try to replace someone like that, I think that the only way to do it is to try and find a carbon copy. It's very hard to do, but someone who you could kick the ball to and you know that ball is going in, right? They don't need much room. They don't need to dribble. They don't need the ball in their hands for the entire game to get a rhythm like some of these guys do who are on the team now. He just needs a shot. He just needs a quick pass, and he's letting that thing fly. So in terms of pickups, some names that I could just throw out, which who knows if they're even possible, but I'd say guys like Duncan Robinson, guys like Joe Harris, um, guys like even the rookie that the Kings just acquired, Tyrese Halliburton from this draft. He can shoot the lights out of the ball for some odd reason. He has a weird looking jump shot, but he's playing super well for the Kings. Not to get off track, but
Yeah.
Just guys that you can trust without them needing the ball a ton. And I think that the guys that they have now, I think we're seeing Kelly Oubre struggle because he knows that when the ball gets to him, that's his opportunity, right? And Phoenix, they were kind of just playing around. Sorry, my girlfriend just popped in to say bye because I'm taking an hour. What was I saying? Oh yeah, in Phoenix, it was more of a get the ball. I can create. I can take my space. I'm the guy to score here, right? Now he's playing with Steph Curry, who draws so much attention that when you get the ball, you almost feel obligated to do something with it. And right now, we're just seeing him struggle. It's early on.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to fit in a new system. And I think that these guys are going to start playing a little bit better down the stretch. Getting Draymond back would be huge for them, as much as we like to as much as, some guys aren't a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that if he was on your team, you'd be happy with him, right? He's that kind of guy. You hate to play against him. You love to play with him. So I'm hopeful for the Golden State Warriors. It would be nice for them to be good again. They're an international brand now, thanks to Steph Curry. They're a big team in the NBA, and it would just be nice to see them be good again. A sort of redemption story. But Steph Curry is playing MVP caliber basketball, and they're 5-4. So they definitely need to step some things up. I think they have the right pieces in play. I think that the pieces they have now need to be converted to more of a role, a backup role. Maybe not off the bench, but maybe not playing as big in minutes. Like if we saw Draymond Green and Klay Thompson out there, these guys would be supplementary to the team. That we wouldn't be reliant. The Golden State Warriors wouldn't be reliant on guys like Kelly Oubre to do most of the scoring, or Andrew Wiggins and guys like that. So
exactly.
To answer your question, after I did a 20 minutes trying to explain,
I'll take it. I needed. Yeah, that's great. That was great.
yeah, I think they have some hope for upcoming. If I can give a prediction, I think they would probably be on the 8, 9, 10 seed in the West. Um, once it comes down to it, so that's my prediction for them right now.
Okay.
Hopefully they step it up.
All right, yeah, I just wanted to see what you thought about Golden State. 'Cause I think they're a team, in the middle there of the pack, hoping that they stay in the middle of the pack, but
Mm-hmm.
could easily fall. Adding Wiseman this year, I think, was great, and I think he stepped up early really well. He's definitely going to be a really good player in the NBA. But I
Right.
agree with you. I think Wiggins and Oubre are doing too much on a team right now that they're really not used to carrying that load, and I don't even think they could.
Right.
Their game is not capable of doing that. With I know the loss of Klay Thompson, you want to supplement with two guys who really should be able to do that, and they haven't. But yeah, I agree. I like those pickups of getting a guy who could space the floor a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
like Klay Thompson does in Duncan Robinson, and a couple of other guys you mentioned. I think maybe Buddy Hield, maybe a guy at Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't not quite sure what they want to do with a Buddy Hield. Maybe Golden State can make a move for him because I think he could play that combo guard where he can spread the floor and shoot
Right.
the rock, but he can take some of that weight off of Steph's shoulders.
I think that's a
I think
really good point. Yeah.
mhm. So maybe a guy like that. I know a guy late in his career. In Derrick Rose isn't the healthiest at all times. I mean, I think he just got injured, matter of fact, too. But he can play explosive ball. Maybe you're getting a guy like that where you can, at the end of his career, just for a year, get a guy who can get you a ton of points, man. In that second unit, run that second unit with Pascal. I think Pascal's a really good player for them. Golden State. Is that his name, Pascal?
Yeah, Eric Pascal. Yeah.
Eric Pascal, man, I like that guy a lot, man. He's a weird, height where big guys don't quite know what to do with him,
Mm-hmm.
and small guys he outpowers, and he got range too. So maybe Derrick Rose running that unit, or even the first unit, helping Steph out a little bit off the ball, could draw some of that attention away from Steph. That Steph could do his thing, and just light him up even more. So I think there's a couple moves out there to make for Golden State, but we just wanted to bring you guys an episode.
Yep.
Respect the Chat is here. We're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get this out in the morning. Hopefully, I don't know if it's audio and video tomorrow or
Tomorrow would be both audio and video. Yes, correct.
okay, beautiful. So let us know what you think about it. Leave some comments in the YouTube channel about what you want us to talk about. Give us some topics, or maybe you guys have trades that teams can make in the NBA. And in the coming weeks, it's more NFL football. It's more NBA. It's going to be some UFC in there, but me and Ryan also have the Main Card podcast, which is strictly MMA, which we have a huge bunch of fights coming up here in the new year. And I want to talk to Ryan about his early predictions with those on the Main Card podcast, and also some of the superstars that we're going to be seeing in 2021. That could be even crazier of a year for the UFC. So respect the chat, man. RDC crew. We miss Rudy and Frankie. Hopefully that we'll get them on with us, but we're definitely going to have the champ on too, and a couple other people who you'll be introduced to. So that's it for me. I'm out. Rye, you out?
Peace.
Peace.